The French Revolution, it wasn't just a change of rulers or borders, it was a seismic shift that sent shockwaves through history. Imagine a world ruled by kings and queens where your birth determined your place. The revolution's ideals, liberty, equality, fraternity, became rallying cries for the oppressed. To understand its impact, we must delve into its origins. Picture France in the late 1700s, a land of striking contrasts, the dazzling opulence of the monarchy versus the harsh realities of the common people. The rigid social structure of the three estates was a powder keg waiting to explode. The Enlightenment challenged old ways of thinking. Philosophers like Voltaire, Rousseau, and Montesquieu ignited imaginations. The stage was set for a revolution that would change the world forever. France in the late 18th century was a nation of stark contrasts. The monarchy, embodied by King Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette, presided over a court culture of extravagance. The First Estate, the clergy, and the Second Estate, the nobility, enjoyed significant privileges. The vast majority, the Third Estate, were relegated to the bottom. This diverse group was united by its exclusion from power. This simmering discontent was about to boil over. For the Third Estate, life was a constant struggle. The peasantry bore the brunt of the nation's tax burden. Urban workers faced their own set of hardships. Bread, the staple food, was often in short supply. Bad harvests pushed many families to the brink of destitution. The government seemed incapable of providing relief. The middle class yearned for a France where merit, not birth, determined one's destiny. While the common people struggled, the French court at Versailles remained an island of opulence. King Louis XVI lacked the decisiveness to address the growing crisis. Marie Antoinette became a symbol of the monarchy's disconnect. The court seemed oblivious to the storm clouds gathering on the horizon. Their financial mismanagement only exacerbated the economic crisis. The French Revolution was fueled by the power of ideas. The Enlightenment challenged the foundations of the old order. Philosophers and thinkers dared to question long-held beliefs. The Enlightenment championed individual liberty and reason. Thinkers like John Locke argued that governments derived their legitimacy from the consent of the governed. These ideas ignited the imaginations of people across Europe. The French Enlightenment produced brilliant minds known as philosophes. Voltaire championed freedom of speech and thought. Rousseau argued for the inherent goodness of humanity and the social contract. Montesquieu advocated for the separation of powers. The ideas of the Enlightenment didn't fall on deaf ears. Across France, people were discussing these new concepts. Pamphlets and books critical of the monarchy circulated widely. The French monarchy faced a confluence of crises. The economy was stagnant, and the peasantry was on the verge of revolt. France was like a tinderbox, and the ideas of the Enlightenment were the spark. By 1789, France teetered on the precipice of chaos. The economy spiraled downward and bread riots erupted. King Louis XVI found himself backed into a corner. In desperation, he turned to the Estates General. The Estates General hadn't been summoned in over 175 years. The announcement sparked hope and anticipation across France. This event would set in motion a chain of events that would alter history. As the representatives of the three estates made their way to Versailles, excitement filled the air. The First and Second Estates arrived in finery, confident in their privileged positions. The Third Estate, however, presented a stark contrast. They were a diverse group, united by their belief in the need for change. The voting system gave disproportionate power to the First and Second Estates. The Third Estate demanded fairer taxation and an end to aristocratic privileges. The deadlock at the Estates General deepened. The Third Estate, frustrated, took a bold step. They declared themselves the National Assembly. Barred from their meeting hall, they relocated to a tennis court. There they swore the tennis court oath, vowing not to disband until France had a new constitution. This marked the birth of a new political order based on popular sovereignty. The summer of 1789 was a time of simmering tension and unease in Paris. News of the political standoff at Versailles and the Third Estate's bold declaration spread like wildfire. The people, burdened by economic hardship, watched with hope and trepidation. King Louis XVI, alarmed, made a fateful decision. He ordered troops around Paris and Versailles, a sign he was prepared to use force. This display of military might fueled their resolve to resist. Rumors swirled through cafes and marketplaces. The king's dismissal of Jacques Necker further inflamed the situation. Paris was transformed into a tinderbox, primed for ignition. The storming of the Bastille was the culmination of weeks of tension, ignited by fear and anger. On the morning of July 14, 1789, a palpable sense of dread hung over Paris. The city, usually bustling, felt strangely subdued, bracing for the unknown. Groups of people, faces etched with fear and determination, gathered in the streets. The king's troops patrolled the city, heightening the tension. News of royal troops moving artillery was the tipping point. The cry went up, "Aux armes, citoyens!" To arms, citizens. Fear gave way to fury and resentment boiled over. Their target was the Bastille, a forbidding medieval fortress. To the revolutionaries, the Bastille represented the old order, and its destruction would be a powerful symbolic victory. Section 3, the fortress falls. The crowd surged toward the Bastille, their makeshift weapons raised in defiance. They were met by the fortress's defenders, taken aback by the ferocity of the assault. The resistance was futile against the human tide. The assault transformed into a bloody, hours-long siege. The cobblestones ran red with blood. Finally, the Bastille's defenses crumbled. The drawbridge lowered under the weight of the surging crowd. Their cries of victory echoed through the captured corridors. Nearly 100 revolutionaries lay dead, a testament to the human cost of liberty. Section 4, a symbolic victory. The storming of the Bastille was a watershed moment in the French Revolution. It sent shockwaves throughout France and Europe, signaling the end of the old order. The capture emboldened revolutionaries. Showing royal power was not invincible, the event ignited uprisings across the country. In the shadow of the Bastille. The National Assembly, emboldened by the people's uprising, embarked on drafting the Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen. This document became a beacon of hope for liberty and equality. Paris buzzed with the energy of a people who had tasted freedom. The city was alive with revolutionary fervor. The Assembly worked tirelessly to translate ideals into action. They were forging a new future for France. The Declaration was a rallying cry for the revolution. It inspired hope and challenged the old order, a testament to human aspirations for liberty, equality, and fraternity. On August 26, 1789, the National Assembly presented the Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen. This landmark document proclaimed a radical new vision of society, founded on liberty, equality, and popular sovereignty. The preamble declared that men are born and remain free and equal in rights. These words represented a fundamental shift in power. No longer would birth or privilege dictate one's place in society. All men were deemed to possess inherent and inalienable rights. Fundamental rights included freedom of speech, religion, assembly, and property. These freedoms struck at the heart of the old order's restrictions. True progress required individuals to think, speak, and worship freely. The Declaration asserted that sovereignty resides in the nation. This challenged the absolute monarchy, proclaiming power belonged to the people. The Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen was more than just a legal document. It was a revolutionary manifesto and a powerful inspiration for reformers and revolutionaries around the globe. Resonated far beyond the borders of France, igniting imaginations and fueling movements for change across Europe and the Americas. It served as the foundation for the Constitution of 1791, which established a constitutional monarchy and abolished feudalism. dismantling the old order's system of privilege and inequality. The impact of the declaration, however, extended far beyond the borders of France. Its principles, translated into numerous languages, were carried across Europe by soldiers and revolutionaries, inspiring demands for representative government, individual liberties, and an end to aristocratic privileges. The French Revolution, with its declaration of the rights of man and citizen as its guiding light, had become a catalyst for change on a global scale. The declaration's influence was also felt across the Atlantic, where it inspired revolutionaries in Latin America to fight for independence from Spanish and Portuguese rule. The United States, itself born out of a revolution against monarchy and oppression, drew inspiration from the Declaration's principles, incorporating them into its own Constitution and Bill of Rights. The French Revolution, through its Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen, had left an indelible mark on the world and inspiring generations to fight for a more just and equitable future. The French Revolution, like a fevered dream, had exhilarating highs and terrifying lows. The storming of the Bastille, the declaration of the rights of man moments that promised a brighter future. By 1793, France was in the grip of a new terror, testing the revolution's soul. The early years were marked by naive optimism, believing in a just society. But France, in its newfound freedom, was a nation divided. Foreign powers circled like vultures, sensing an opportunity to crush the Republic. As the revolution entered its fifth year, a perfect storm of internal and external pressures converged, pushing France towards the brink. The war against Austria and Prussia, declared in 1792, was not going well. French armies, ill-equipped and poorly led, suffered a series of defeats, fueling fears of an invasion and a counter-revolution. Within France, economic woes persisted, inflation soared, and food shortages sparked riots in the streets. The monarchy, though stripped of its power, remained a potent symbol of the old order, a rallying point for those who yearned for a return to the past. In this climate of fear and uncertainty, a new force emerged, one that promised to restore order and safeguard the revolution no matter the cost: the Committee of Public Safety. Formed in the spring of 1793, the Committee of Public Safety was granted extraordinary powers to defend the revolution from its enemies, both foreign and domestic. Led by a group of dedicated but increasingly ruthless revolutionaries, including the enigmatic and austere figure of Maximilien Robespierre, the committee embarked on a campaign of repression and terror that would stain the French Revolution with the blood of its own citizens. The Terror, as it came to be known, was a period of extreme violence and paranoia. The committee, convinced that the revolution was in mortal danger, suspended civil liberties, shut down newspapers critical of its policies, and unleashed a wave of arrests and executions. Revolutionary tribunals, operating with little regard for due process, sent thousands to the guillotine on charges of treason, counter-revolutionary activity, or even simple suspicion. The guillotine, symbol of the Terror, became a ubiquitous presence in Paris. Once a symbol of swift justice, it turned into an instrument of state terror. No one was safe from the Terror's reach. Aristocrats, priests, and even revolutionaries faced the guillotine. The guillotine's shadow fell upon all. Marie Antoinette met her end on the guillotine's platform. Georges Danton, a founding father, fell victim to the Terror. The Terror's reach extended far beyond Paris. The Terror, justified as a necessary evil to safeguard the revolution, was a reign of fear that corrupted its ideals. Robespierre envisioned a France purified by revolutionary zeal, but the Terror's violence and intimidation proved antithetical to its values. People lived in fear of being denounced. Despite its excesses, the Terror consolidated the revolution's gains, but the cost was high, ideals tarnished by blood. By 1794, the Terror peaked. Robespierre, isolated and paranoid. The Thermidorian reaction ended his reign, ushering in a period of relative calm. The guillotine, silent at last, stood as a stark reminder of the Terror's excesses. By 1799, France was a nation exhausted. The fervor of the revolution had given way to a bone-deep weariness. Years of upheaval and bloodshed had left their mark. The guillotine's shadow lingered, a chilling reminder of the revolution's violence. People craved stability, even if it meant sacrificing some freedoms. In this climate, a new figure emerged, Napoleon Bonaparte. Born in Corsica, Napoleon's military genius was evident in stunning victories. To a nation yearning for a strong leader, Napoleon seemed like the answer. Napoleon Bonaparte was a brilliant military strategist and a ruthless dictator, a champion of the revolution's ideals and the gravedigger of its republican principles. He cultivated an image of himself as a man of destiny, a savior who would lead France to greatness. France, weary of revolution, embraced him. In November 1799, he staged a coup d'état, overthrowing the Directory. With the army's support, Napoleon established himself as first consul, ending the French Revolution. He centralized the government, reformed the legal system, and established the Bank of France. He made peace with the Catholic Church, signing the Concordat of 1801. Napoleon's reforms brought stability and a return to normalcy, but his ambitions extended far beyond France. He dreamed of a Europe united under his rule, a new Roman Empire. In 1804, Napoleon Bonaparte crowned himself Emperor of the French. He took the crown from Pope Pius VII and placed it upon his own head. The French Revolution culminated in a new empire ruled by an emperor. Napoleon's reign saw unprecedented military conquest and social reform. His armies conquered much of Europe, spreading revolutionary ideals. The Napoleonic Code enshrined principles like equality before the law. However, his rule became increasingly autocratic and repressive. His disastrous invasion of Russia in 1812 marked the beginning of his downfall. Defeated in 1814, Napoleon was exiled to Elba. He returned for the 100 Days' rule before being defeated at Waterloo. The French Revolution, a whirlwind of hope, terror, and ambition, ultimately ended with the restoration of the monarchy. Napoleon's empire crumbled, its grand ambitions laid low on the battlefields of Europe, but the revolution's legacy, like the ruins of the Bastille, remained. It had left an indelible mark on France, on Europe, on the world. The revolution's ideals, liberty, equality, fraternity, these weren't just slogans on a banner, they were seeds planted in the fertile ground of human aspiration, seeds that would continue to sprout and grow long after the revolution's fires had died down. Across Europe, inspired by the French example, movements for democratic reform, for national self-determination, for social justice gained momentum. The French Revolution, in its triumphs and its failures, taught the world a powerful lesson, that the people, however oppressed, however silenced, possess an inherent power, a power to challenge the established order, to demand a better world. It showed that even the most entrenched systems of power are not invincible, that the seeds of change can bloom in the most unexpected places. The French Revolution's legacy is not just found in history books or enshrined in museums. It lives on in the values we cherish, in the freedoms we defend, in the ongoing struggle for a more just and equitable world. It is a reminder that the pursuit of liberty and equality is a never-ending task. A torch passed down through generations, a fire that must never be allowed to die.